Well, howdy, pards. How are you doing out there in the great wild west, in the big east? And we've actually been very fortunate this year of not having a bunch of catastrophes. Although California got hit, or Baja California anyhow, and we caught the tail end of it, of a hurricane. And it's beyond me. Well, no, actually, it's not, because I've been married 3 times and had a couple of long-term girlfriends, so I understand why they call them hurricanes rather than hemicans. So, anyhow, I was talking to a good friend of mine this afternoon, and it took me back in time. Took me back in time. Oh, Tony, how you doing there, brother? And I hope you come up and visit me, or we'll visit one another. So, anyhow, Tony Compton out there. But he was talking to me this afternoon, which took me way back in time before my oldest daughter was born. His friend named Bob bought my ex in-laws home, and this was a really quaint house. It was, even though the address didn't address the door that the front door opened on, but I know all the history of it. And actually, before my oldest daughter was born, her mother and I lived directly across the street. So, took me back in time, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. This video is actually not about that, but it is about going back in time and the people that we've known. Buck was always good to our family. Merle always treated me as if I was a nephew or what have you. This goes back to a guy that co-wrote. Well, I think he only gets the co-writing. I think he actually wrote it, and then it was helped along the process. And it was there's a place down the street they call Sam's Place. It starts hopping every evening when the sun goes down. So, Red Simpson. I did some research here on Red. I don't know what prompted me to do it. Red was a very, very close friend of our families, and a good and honest friend of mine. I like writing music, and I like recording music, and I thought, hey, maybe I got a shot. So clear back in, I don't know, 2007, 2008. Might even been before that. Red used to do what they called senior night at Trout's. And him and his wife would always sit on the end of the bar, so it took me a lot of courage that I had taken this DVD or CD, and at that time I'd only written, I don't know, maybe 70, 80 songs and recorded them. I'd written a lot more than that, but written and recorded, and I took 18 of my best songs that I thought have just a slight chance at making it. And I took it down there on Monday night, on senior night, and I handed it over to Red. And I said, listen to this when you get a moment. And I would like an honest, don't, oh yeah, I love your music, man. Don't kick me to the curb. I want an actual criticism, if anything, of my music. So I gave it to him. Well, then going down, back in those days, we had the green room, what they called the green room, which was down in the basement below what Rockwell called the blackboard stages, or blackboard stage, which not even close, but hey, give it to him. But we'd go down in the green room with Banny and Jimmy and damn, I can't think of his name. Mom even showed me a picture the other day of him, and he's part of the Bakersfield Sound. He had his own band and toured just like Buck did, and Rose Maddox, because Rose Maddox there was no band called Rose Maddox. It was the Maddox brothers and their sister Rose. And she was a cheek pincher. Gosh almighty. You look just cute as a peach. So I called her, I didn't know whether to call her a peach pincher. I'd like to follow her to the grocery store to see if she actually pinched peaches. So, anyways. But Red Simpson, there was and he would do, I forget what day at lunch, down at Rasmussen's, and he would do, so we did Monday nights at Trout's, and then during the week, during the lunch session at I think it was Thursday and Friday nights, or Thursday and Friday afternoon, excuse me. He would play during lunch. So, but one hell of a songwriter. They say he co-wrote with Buck Owens, Sam's Place. I'd be willing to bet Red came up with it, and then Buck helped him do the final, which co-writing, but they gave Buck the, number one stall on that. I understand that. But anyhow, here's a story of what Red did directly for me and my family. How many minutes? I'm 8 minutes in, so I have to do another story too about what he did on the last time that my grandmother went to the Grange Hall. But this is about my daughter's wedding. And so we had my mother set up to where we could have the hall, Rasmussen, right there on Roberts Lane, just off Chester Avenue, next to the fire station. So I decided I was going to save money on my daughter's wedding, so I'm at home doing pulled pork, and I got 4 crock pots going, big crock pots going. We're expecting 150 people, maybe 200. And I'm running late because it's just not wanting to pull, so I had to let it cook a little bit more. And I'm trying to get ready in the interim and keep the juices off of me. And all right, so I finally get down there, and my daughter meets me at the door, coming in to where they were all getting dressed and everything, which would actually be the front door, not the back door. And my daughter says, "Who's this guy that thinks his name is Red Simpson, and he just thinks he kicked my arch off the bandstand where Daniel and I are going to get married. And I said, well, Red's going to do the music during the ceremony and after the ceremony. Oh, I don't know who he thinks he is, but he kicked my arch off. So the kids got married off to the side of the, and then we get everything done. My daughter is still not forget. I just can't believe you organized this, Dad. And I said, one of these days it's going to become clear. It's going to become clear. So the whole night proceeded, and I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 years go by, and national news says Red Simpson passed away. And so they're playing some of his music on national news, and I get a phone call from my daughter. She goes, hey, Dad, wasn't that the guy that kicked me off the stage at my wedding? I said, yes, it was. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I said, I knew you didn't. And guess how much he charged us? Well, I'm not saying zero. Because there's no alcoholic beverages allowed within Rasmussen's, I had to sneak a 12-pack of Budweiser in a small ice chest that looked like a gift, so that he could pour it into his cup while he was playing for 3.5 hours. And he charged us nothing other than a 12-pack of beer. And he says, I loved your grandmother, and I love your mother, and I like listening to your music. So this is the point. This is that crust. So at the end of it, when we just start playing, he's done playing, we're kind of cleaning up. I said, will you finally come clean with me? Have you heard my record? And he says, yeah, I played your record. I played it more than once. Yeah, I have a couple of favorites that I like of yours. He says, but you told me that you have a job. And I said, yes, sir, I do. He says, and you like that job? And I said, yes, sir, I do. And you only do music as a hobby? And I said, yes. He goes, keep it as a hobby. So that's Red Simpson. And I'm coming down to the wire. I got a minute and a half. You're only allowed 15 minutes on personal. So that's my story about Red Simpson. And he was just a glorious person and a light. And one of these other nights, one of these other times, I'll actually post something. The last time my grandmother went to the Grange Hall, and she was in a wheelchair. Her legs weren't working. She had spinal cancer. I don't know how many of you out there know Edna Francis, but that was my grandma and my best friend as a child. So we'll share that next time. It's really been nice getting another post out.